Hello everyone. In this week's Parasha, Parashat Bo, we find a verse which translation, has impacted the way non-Jews view Jews. And this verse we find in chapter Yud Bet, verse Lamed He. Uvnei Yisrael asu kadevar Moshe, vayeshalu mitzrayim klei chesef uchlei zahav usimlot. And the Bnei Israel did according to what Moshe had said. They demanded, requested, borrowed utensils of silver, of gold, and garments. And it goes on, continues. Hashem gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and so they granted them their request. So the story is puzzling, right? Did the Hebrew ask in the meaning of borrowing? Did they borrow, or did they, and therefore deceive the Hebrews by never giving it back? Or did they request it? And took what the Egyptians owed them. So there's a machloket between the Rashbam, for whom think that this was a gift from the part of the Egyptians, and the Ibn Ezra and Shadal, who says that it was borrowed. So what should we make of it? In fact, this question came up in the news quite recently in 2003. When an Egyptian jurist, dean of the faculty of Zagazig in Egypt, trying to bring forth a lawsuit against, I quote, all the Jewish people. Based on the verses that we presented, he asserted that the ancestors of the Jews fled during the Exodus, with more, and I quote from his research, than 1 billion tons of gold. In his professionalism, he had also calculated the cumulative interest. To tell the truth, Mr. Nabil Hilmi is not the first to have had this idea. Our sages report a similar trial from the time of Alexander the Great. The Jews were then defended by a sage named Gavoa ben Pisisa. We find the minutes of the trial, so to speak, in the explanatory notes on Megillat Ta'anit. Amor Mitzrayim, so the Egyptian said, it's written in the Torah, and then goes on quoting of verses, right? The Hebrews left asking for utensils of silver and gold, etc., etc. Irziru lanu shelanu, right? I want my money back. Heshiv lahem Givia. Givia answered them. For 430 years we were slaves. That's 6,000 Hebrews. If you give to each and every one 200 zuz per year that he worked for, that's a total of 8,600,000 maneh per person. And then we can talk about giving you what we borrowed. Yetsu kulhem bepri nefesh. They all walked away vexed. So I wanted to end by quoting a beautiful chidush by the Orach Chaim in Meknes, on his commentary on the Parasha, who notes that giving goods to slave as they are being liberated is actually echoing the very rules of the Jewish people when they set their own slave free, right? And the principle, the moral principle that the Orach Chaim reminds us of is that when we free a slave, right, we're not, and we give him something. It's not a form of salary, right? But rather, it's a way to ensure that he's not left in a situation in which he can only look for another master, right? He won't be truly set free if he had nothing that could allow him to start a new life, right? So what the Hebrews were asking, as they were lishol, the Egyptians, was their dignity, right? The fact that they had enough money to start a truly new life without having to look back or look for a new master. And with this, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.